Hi, welcome again to the Eye on South Asia. And moving on with this segment, Sujit, we have a great story here, which is essentially on the sex trafficking and of a great human interest. This lady Ruchira Gupta, the founder of Apne Aap Women Worldwide, which is a daily-based organization and helping out women and who are being exploited, has been invited by President Bill Clinton to the Clinton Global Initiative. I think it's a very big thing. Clinton has invited somebody from this type of space where an event which is essentially held by the foundation and top people, I guess you have the leaders from public and private sectors, you have top CEOs of the organizations, you have heads of foundations, major philanthropists, directors of most effective NGOs, prominent members of media who are invited. In the middle of this, he has a Ruchira Gupta.
Well, this happens actually in Aspen, Colorado, and the Clinton Global Initiative, the CGI as it's called. These people who are invited, and Ruchira is one of 9 global leaders who have been invited this year. They are actually part of a 2-year program. And a lot of strategy is done at this meet, and President Bill Clinton actually goes there, interacts with the people who are present. It's a great meet. But Sunil, I just want to give a background on who Ruchira Gupta actually is.
True.
She has been working for women who have been exploited in the sex industry for the past 2.5 decades. And she is not new to international recognition. She won the Clinton Global Citizen Award for commitment to leadership in civil society in 2009. And she was also part of the, she was awarded the Abolitionist Award by the UK House of Lords in 2007. She's also won an Emmy for outstanding investigative journalism for a documentary, The Selling of Innocence, and again that was about the sex trafficking industry. And this past week, CNN actually featured a documentary on the sex industry in Nepal, and Ruchira is right up there when it comes to fighting that malaise in the subcontinent.
And I think I'll be, honest that President Bill Clinton has done a human service in many, many sectors, and this Clinton Global Initiative, which convenes global leaders to devise and implement innovative solutions to some of the most pressing challenges that the world is facing. And human trafficking, in that the sex trafficking mostly, is a serious issue. And CGI has today nearly 2,000 members who are committed, and it is credited with improving the lives of almost 300 million people in over 180 countries. I think we must applaud and commend President Clinton for what he is doing, and I think with the attention being paid, whether it's a Ruchira Gupta or somebody else, the idea here is the more underprivileged countries, especially including developing countries like India.
And Sunil, also that women like Ruchira Gupta, who's a very strong, prominent voice internationally, for against the sex trafficking industry, is not given that much of recognition, or voice when it comes to India itself, where she works. There's a lot of lobbying, sometimes which is done against her. In India, there's so much of corruption which is present. So when there is more of international pressure on India, and I sincerely believe India is very independent, they really don't need a foreign hand to intervene in their domestic affairs. But in things like this, when it transgresses borders, sex trafficking industry is not just confined to India.
Exactly.
It's also Nepal. It's also Thailand, it's also, parts of Laos. When all this converges, you find that people like Ruchira Gupta are like jewels in the crown who really need to be cherished and should be recognized as a national treasure by Indian government itself.
Yeah, moving on with the women's subject, as we have been talking about this other story which has developed very dangerously in last 2 weeks about Santosh Bhardwaj, who was the maid help at Ambassador Prabhu Dayal's, who is the Consul General in New York, home, and she has sued the ambassador, his wife and his daughter for exploitation, even they call it sexual exploitation, and then about some money. And there is a big change, there is a big twist there, that Ravi Batra, who was representing ambassador, has been replaced now by Russell W. Rosen Esquire and David C. Berger Esquire, who are from Robinson, Brookline, Van, Green, Genovese, and Gluck PC. This is a new legal team that I think MEA has hired to represent the ambassador.
Absolutely, Sunil. And Prabhu Dayal, in fact, like Ambassador Dayal, had clarified to the media that this was something, the onus was on the Indian government. Do they want to fight this out in court, or would they want to talk to the State Department and try and have this case quashed? But this, we have been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. Of course this case is going to be fought in court. But what happened was Ravi Batra, there was a lot of media attention that came after he made some remarks in the which came, or some of his remarks were played out in the Indian media, and there was some kind of controversy about some of the statements which were made. And there was, some people didn't see eye to eye. And finally, I think the Indian government intervened and has changed the, the legal team for Ambassador Prabhu Dayal. But, there are a lot of connotations in this case. Dr. Neena Malhotra, who was a consul for Press and Women Affairs earlier, she faced a similar charge. She is now sitting in India, in New Delhi. And the India and the US government have been trying to thrash out that issue, and that was a similar case. A domestic help had actually, accused her also of exploitation. So I think, by the time this case is done with, there'll be definitely some guidelines, and also, the Indian government would know how to recruit domestic help, especially for diplomats. Because what often happens is that, women who complain of exploitation, who come as domestic maids and complain of exploitation, they're given a T visa, which is, for women who are exploited, either, become like slaves or, end up in the, business of trafficking, unfortunately. So they end up getting a green card, but the onus is always on the employer who employs them to defend himself or herself in court. And because Ambassador Prabhu Dayal and also Dr. Neena Malhotra, it seemed that they were covered under the Geneva Conventions on Diplomatic Immunity, but now it has come out that they actually are not. So there's a lot to this case, and we'll see how this progresses when the case finally ends up in court.
Right, and we will continue to report to our viewers on Eye on South Asia as we follow the story as it progresses. Moving on to the business side and some of the entertainment side, good developments in New York, which is the hub of the diamond industry. And Indians have been normally at the top of the diamond industry, as everybody knows, but except for the last little patch of the last few years where the industry has taken a slump. I think this is a very good development where there is a historic agreement between Diamond Dealers Club of New York, as it is called, DDC, and Indian Diamond Colorstone Association of New York. These two organizations, which were earlier kind of not touching each other, and Indian Diamond members were not allowed to become the members of the DDC, have suddenly been given the freedom. I think what it does is it brings the industry closer. They can work with each other, they can become member of each other, they can trade with each other. So there is the barrier that essentially the Diamond Dealers Club had put against the Indian Diamond Dealers Association has been broken. I think it's a big victory.
Absolutely. The DDC, the Diamond Dealers Club of New York, is the world's premier diamond exchange since 1931. Before World War II, and has over 1,800 members. In comparison, the IDCA, which was formed in 1984, has around 200 Indian American diamond dealers as part of the organization. And you're right, Sunil, what this really does is facilitates the Indian Diamond Dealers and Colorstone Association to actually make themselves available to more clients in the US.
And the president of the organization, Mr. Sushil Goyal, was very enthusiastic on this development, and he says, quote, "We are very enthusiastic about this new partnership. Our members have long been asking for this kind of benefit that our two organizations are now putting together, and we feel that our collective strength will help us negotiate ever more streamlined costs and better returns for our industry." And as this diamond industry, which is multi-billion, probably trillion-dollar industry, gains from it, I think it will help the global recovery.
And one of the things, also the IDCA is going to benefit from is that when they become part of this Diamond Dealers Club, they can not only become members paying discounted rates, but the big factor here is that, they become part of the arbitration board. So they don't have to get into this, expensive litigation outside, but, the DDC actually has, will take care of that. They have their own lawyers who will be taking up the cases.
It will help in streamlining the whole industry and the organizations. On the Hollywood side, Disney has released 3 Bollywood films. They are coming up on 26th July, and this is all across North America in all form and shape that you can think of: a DVD, video on demand, digital download, and will be featured on iTunes. All of this on the same day. This is first time Disney has made such a move. and they're releasing 3 movies: Do Duni Char, Once Upon a Warrior, and Zokoman. And the little bit on the details, Sujit, Do Duni Char is very popular, directed by Habib Faisal, and it has the star pair of Rishi Kapoor and Neetu Kapoor, who recently won awards and were also in New York for the New York Film Festival.
Right.
And on the other hand, the Once Upon a Warrior is a Disney Telugu fantasy. I think the angle here is because we have a significant Telugu community in America, and there are separate movie screens which are showing Telugu movies, with about 20% of the Indian community being Telugu. The focus is on that community obviously here, and they are very IT centric. It stars Siddharth, Shruti Hassan, and Lakshmi Manchu. And the last movie, which is also being released concurrently, is called Zokoman. It's a Hindi action adventure film about a boy who overcomes challenges to become a magical hero. And it has the famous kid, Darshanil Safri, and with him is our famous Anupam Kher. This kid did wonders when he came back with that movie with Amir Khan and won many awards. This is a good development.
Well, these are all the films made by Disney last year, so it's good that they are also providing a platform for Indian American viewers to get a chance to see it.
True. And I think it's to do with the position that Indian American community has taken, that they are very technology savvy and they can benefit from this, and the focus is utilizing the distribution system with very streamlined, easy way, and look at the larger segment of the community.
Well, so this, I just want to interrupt here. One of the things that I find interesting, and pointed out the fact that all these films are being on a digital platform. You can not only see it on screens, but you can also see it on your computer screens. But the thing is that there is not really much of a parallel cinema, which we have Dish, we have DirecTV, and they have their own choice of films that you can see. But oftentimes, what is really missing is good parallel cinema. And I see that these films, although they are commercial, of course, Zokoman and Do Duni Char are Bollywood ventures, and the other Telugu film are commercial films. But at the same time, they're not really the type of films you're likely to see at your neighborhood video store, apart from Do Duni Char, which of course ran very successfully. The other two are things which I would, one is a children's film, the other again is a fantasy film in Telugu. So I think it's a very welcome development that some kind of parallel cinema is also being provided on the digital platform.
And here is a bigger development. Our star singer Sonu Nigam has partnered or tied up with Britney Spears. Now, I don't think we could ever imagine anything like that. I know Sonu Nigam has been trying to break into the Hollywood industry by trying to sing songs in English. I was in one of the shows in Atlantic City where 40% of his time, I think, he dedicated to singing as a dedication to the late Michael Jackson, and he sang songs in English. And now he's partnering with Britney Spears. And well, I'm sure Britney is trying to make a noise out of what she says on the site by microblogging. She says, so excited about having Sonu, I Wanna Go, that song, famous song. And she's praising him. But I guess it's up really for real observation once it is done. You can play up the gallery by speaking about it, that Britney Spears on the one side and Sonu Nigam on the other side. On one side is the Hollywood, on one side is the Bollywood.
Recently, Lady Gaga had also tied up with an Indian company to do a remix version of her song Judas. But Sunil, Sonu Nigam has been trying to break into Hollywood and also the mainstream American music industry for a long time. And recently, I heard him not live but on TV at the the World Cup inauguration in Dhaka, and he had again sang an English song. My problem with him is that he's a great singer. I absolutely love his Hindi songs, and I'm a big fan. But what happens is that we are so used to hearing English songs coming from these American or British or wherever, these singers are. We don't have really an ear for the Indian accent singing in English.
And he's such a name brand. He's such a common man's dream, and his voice is so much ringing in your ear, and suddenly out of nowhere you suddenly think that he's going to be singing the English songs.
And he's been trying different versions. In Dhaka, I thought that he was trying to be a soprano, with his loud, he holds his voice for a long time. I think he is very ambitious, but he is best suited for Bollywood, I think.
Sujit, our best wishes are with Sonu Nigam, and we don't know what he'll do. And with this new development, I think with Britney Spears, maybe he'll prove us wrong, and our best wishes are with him. We hope he's successful and do another wonder that he's been doing in the Hindi Bollywood industry year after year. With this, Sujit, we come to the end for this week's top stories, and next week we can come back with next week's top stories. We'll be back next week on Eye on South Asia, same time, same channel, same day. I'm Sunil Hali.
And I'm Sujit Rajan.
You can also watch us on YouTube, worldwide, anywhere. Tell your friends and family. Once again, goodbye.
Have a great weekend.